So, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Turn 5 podcast, where it's been there's been race week. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
I thought you were going to say it's been a while since you actually showed up, but you know.
I mean, yeah, that too. Work's kicked my ass. So it's good to be back for a few weeks while I'm not working Mondays.
Just a few weeks.
Yeah, because then I'll be working Mondays again. Let's talk the Chinese Grand Prix, because that was at the weekend. It was good to be back in Shanghai.
Yes. The crowds were great.
Yeah. Did it deliver? Was it worth the wait? Let's discuss.
I'd never seen a race there.
True. Nia's brand new to this one.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually see it because I was not awake.
Nice.
It was like 8 in the morning. Come on.
Yeah, I was
Amateur.
at a rally until 2 in the morning, stood in a container for 2 hours.
I was at work until that time in the morning. I never got off the race either, but that's fine.
I finished work an hour before it started.
Yeah, so you were still awake.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was not. My bedtime is 10 o'clock now. I'm not waking up in time for that.
Yeah, my bedtime's about 10 o'clock. In the morning.
Yeah, exactly. There we are.
No, I think it was a good race.
To the Bedtime Podcast.
Yeah, truly. Yano, truly. There was reference to Yano on the commentary this weekend. It was a good race. I don't think it quite lived up to the hype it was being given, but equally, it wasn't bad. Like, I'd happily go back and... I mean,
it's quite good that you'll happily go back because
they're on the calendar. Yeah, no, but I mean, like, you know, when we have like really boring races, you're like, oh, we've got another like 8 years of this. This isn't one of those. Like, there was stuff that happened all through the weekend. There was events that was going on that made it interesting. There wasn't any session that didn't. There wasn't any boring session, you know.
Track caught fire to add some spice. Like,
exactly.
That's never happened before, I don't think.
Not that I've seen.
No.
So, yeah, practice session. Turn 7, because of the wind direction, the sparks from underneath the car, where the titanium skid block was hitting the ground, landed in the grass where they were being blown from the wind, and set the grass on fire. So we had a red flag for about 10 minutes or so, while the marshals put out the grass fire. We then also had a repeat situation of that. I don't know if it was at the same corner or not, but that was during sprint quali. But that was like right at the end of
I think it was a different corner.
It was right at the end of a session though, so they just did it under yellows and then put it out between sessions, which is fair enough. So yeah, sprint quali, SQ1 and SQ2, dry, but everyone's like, it's gonna rain. SQ3, it rained. And one of the things that the drivers spoke about going into the weekend was there were reports that the track had been resurfaced. Turns out that's not quite true. It's more they painted it with a bitumen paint, which some drivers had heard of before. I think Ocon said that he'd encountered something similar from his karting days, and actually managed to give a pretty accurate summation of what it would be like. Of it gives you a fair amount of grip in the dry, but once it's wet, good luck.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we saw. I've never seen someone have to go round a corner that is normally pretty much flat out with about 20% on the throttle gauge that you see on the heads-up display. It's wild. They were so tentative on the power. And understandably so, because like anyone tried to put a bit more power down, it just started stepping out on them and threatening to go round. But it also gave us plenty of FIA intervention by virtue of track times deleted, also gave us an interesting one from Lando Norris, where his lap time got reinstated. Now, I'd spotted this during the live. For those of you who didn't see it, Lando went wide at the last corner, which typically at a circuit means that the lap time you're on and the following lap both get deleted, because you have gained an advantage by running wide at the last corner. However, at the last
usually
corner
during
of
qualifying, that doesn't matter because the next lap is your end lap.
yeah. However, this time there's now a gravel trap a lot closer to the exit of that corner. Now, Max Verstappen also ran wide at turn 16, the last corner, and had his lap time deleted, but his subsequent lap time was not deleted. And I caught up on this, and I was kind of questioning it when they deleted Lando's one, and then they reinstated it. So I guess they did just go, well, he's not gained an advantage because he was in gravel. Common sense actually prevailed
Wow.
from a steward's decision.
He went
It's a miracle.
yellow as well on that second lap,
Yeah.
and then pulled out a second and a half in the final sector
Wild.
from somewhere.
Yeah, from not going in the gravel.
Yeah, I suppose.
No, it was wild. I think they basically looked and went, oh, his sector times are way down. He's not gained anything. Let him have his lap. And yeah, madness. So it meant that we had Lando on pole position for the sprint race. That lasted long.
It was fun while it lasted, though.
Yeah.
So all the Lewis fans crying about it was fucking hilarious.
I mean, I didn't because I understand the rules.
Yeah,
but
it's because they're either purposely ignoring the fact that it was the lap before, or
they're just
they
imbeciles.
genuinely didn't know. And
It is usually common practice that if you mess up, usually in the final sector, or at least the last few corners, you have both laps deleted. But this time, there's just no advantage to be gained, so carry on.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, Lando's pole position lasted long. What, 3 corners?
Oh,
2.5?
No, he didn't
Was
even.
even
No,
that?
so it was. He got pushed wide at 1, and then was off at 2. So yeah, can't believe I was up at 4 a.m. for that.
Yeah, I set an alarm for that as well.
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I watched it recorded.
I'm glad I slept through quali.
I could have gone and sat in a queue for a record that sold out before I even got there, and instead I watched that. So I got double disappointment. Let's go. I think he turned it around on Sunday though, so I'll let him off.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that.
There were quite a lot of Lando fans, I think, crying online saying that it was pushed off the circuit. It was just good racing.
It wasn't even pushed off. He just didn't have any grip out there. It was all his
Exactly.
own fault. Even I can see that.
Yeah, it's typical lap 1. It wasn't like the Verstappen at Vegas where he just went
meets
off
the wall.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was a case
that
of
happens. Yeah.
This was a case of it's not the racing line, and they've not done a lot of running out there yet because nobody's been trying to overtake anyone yet. So it was still a bit dusty, and he just didn't have the grip.
Exactly.
So goodbye. That was just it. By the end of the race, I think if he made that move again, I think he'd have been fine. Because enough people had been going round the outside of turn 1, and it is a spectacular looking move. And I'm all here for it. That's one of the things.
On the first lap.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about the Shanghai circuit is that opening sequence of 3. Is that there's so many different lines through those 3-4 corners that overtaking opportunities present themselves. Even if you're like 2/3 of the way through the corner, the other guy might have a sudden snap of oversteer, and suddenly an opportunity presents itself because you're just on a different line. Whereas
And
most
if your
other
name's-
corners, there's one line and that's it. The guy in front has a
If your-
snap of oversteer. You have to slow down as well.
And if your name's Daniel Kvyat, torpedoing opportunities appear.
Yeah, true. Having watched that back, he was unfairly given the nickname of the Torpedo. But subsequent
Well,
events
that was-
later justified the nickname of the
Yeah.
Torpedo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was thinking it was at Russia, wasn't it? But it wasn't. It was originated at China.
It
and then-
originated here,
Yeah, and then it
he
happened
proved
again in
it.
Russia.
Yeah.
He lived for it in Russia. What do we got? We got Hamilton's high and low for the weekend of Saturday, finishing second in the sprint race and then being knocked out in Q1 in quali. Ouch. Oh, that's a point. Because they changed the weekend format around, I heard them mentioning there's now 2 different sets of Parc Ferme,
Mm,
which is cool. I like that.
yeah.
So you start sprint quali and you're under Parc Ferme for the sprint. At the end of sprint, you can then make any changes
Do
you
what
want
you like.
before qualifying. And then at the start of qualifying, you re-enter Parc Ferme and you're locked in for the race. So you don't really get to test out any changes you make between sprint and quali, but equally, at least you can make some changes now.
Yeah.
If you see something didn't stick for sprint quali, you can change it, which is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Equal,
So-
if you change it too much, a la Mercedes with Lewis Hamilton, and it doesn't work, you're humped.
Yes. So, but it's an evolution of the system, and I think it's good progress because
Yeah.
otherwise you were just locked in for the whole weekend after doing an hour of practice, and that was it. So
Yeah, I like the new sprint format.
It makes more
Um,
sense.
Yeah,
Because it's similar to what is literally how Formula 2 do it. They have one set of races on one day, another set of races on the other day, I think.
well, Formula 2 only have one qualifying session though, so
Mm.
That's that. Thinking of Formula E, that's what I think
yeah,
of. Because they do double headers on the same weekend. So they do.
yeah, like they're
sprint
technically
race.
separate rounds, but yeah,
It's one race, really.
yeah, it's one race weekend, but 2 rounds in the calendar for them.
Yeah, that's what it's similar to with the sprint weekend, which I think works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it works. I think it's probably the best sprint format
yeah,
can be.
Yeah.
yeah, without adding any more sessions in. I think the only other thing you'd say was like an FP2 between so that you can test it, but
Yeah, and that means
logistically, that's not
3
going to happen.
racing sessions in
No.
one day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is
you
easier
never have.
to have sprint one day, race the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like it. It's good.
Mm.
yeah. Like the only way that would work is if they got rid of FP1
Yeah, you
entirely.
just go straight into
And you went
sprint quali,
straight into sprint quali.
which no one's
Have
going
the
to agree
sprint
to.
on the Friday, and then you've got a practice session on the Saturday to look at changes before quali.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
That'd be
Um,
stupid.
The only real concern I'd have is if there's a major shunt in the sprint, those drivers are most definitely going to miss qualifying
Mm.
Yeah.
because there is no way in hell you're going to recover a completely ruined car in, what was it, 4 hours between sprint and quali?
Well,
If-
that's the same for any other session on a normal race weekend, though.
True, but on a normal race weekend, you bin it in FP1, you miss FP2, you're back out for FP3.
Yeah.
But then
if
you
they've been
been in
at
FP3.
Yeah, if you bin it in FP3, you run the risk of quali.
Although one could say there's a more inherent risk of a major shunt in a
race
race,
than a
and there
practice
is.
session. Yeah.
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 But
And it should be noted that the sprint is now considered as a race. At first, it was completely separate, I think, when it came to penalties and stuff. But now the 3-place grid penalty, who got it at the
Danny
end of the main
Rick.
race?
Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. That'll apply to the sprint
It's a
and not
joke.
the next Grand Prix.
It's a joke.
What?
Danny
The
got
next-
given a 3-place grid penalty, so for the incident where he overtook Magnussen under the safety
And
car.
that was in the sprint.
No, that was in the race.
No, that was in the
That was in
race.
a race.
That was after
Is it
the Lance Stroll incident, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
is Miami a sprint?
Miami is a
Yeah.
sprint, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So the
Okay.
3-place grid penalty will affect the sprint and not the Grand Prix.
Which, hey, I think that could work out for Danny because at least it only affects the minor points paying race now.
Exactly. Yeah, there's far less points
So-
available in a sprint.
Who decided to put a sprint at Miami?
FIA, F1.
Yeah.
God.
Hey, it's not that great a racetrack. If we put multiple races on the same circuit, maybe one of them will be good. Said nobody ever.
When
Why-
there's a Max Verstappen that wins every race by 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you
Well,
cameras?
Actually, he only won by 12 to 15 seconds this time. I know that
Didn't he
because I was
win in
doing
the-
F1
the-
play and it was the one above the one I picked. I said 10 to
Oh,
12.
no.
I was so gutted.
But yeah, so that the sprint, apart from, oh yeah, we need to talk about Fernando Alonso's penalty in the sprint.
God.
I can't really. Oh yeah, he came together with.
Yeah, see how
Sainz,
the
didn't he?
light
Yeah.
touch that with Carlos Sainz.
Mm.
He got a 10-second time penalty and 3 penalty points for that.
I think it was more the entire sequence of events more than anything.
I don't think there was a deserving penalty there though.
It's a tough call, but where they've increased the baseline, this is what we're going to end up with now. Which I think is wrong. I think they still need the 5-second option.
Yeah. But I don't even think there was a penalty there. For me, it was just hard racing. They touched. Fernando retired. And that was it.
Yeah.
Consequences had.
Yeah, it's rough, but it's one of those ones that is going to be seen as like defendable from both trenches, isn't it? You know.
And even then, they applied a penalty, but because he was technically classified, he basically got away with it.
True.
Because he got a 10-second time penality.
Yeah. he
Normally,
didn't get the grid
if you
penalty.
DNF, that'll be converted to a 5-place grid penalty. But he didn't.
Yeah. It's a weird one now. But he got the penalty, but he also didn't get the penalty. So really, he just got the points.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But I think it's a little worrying as to seeing penalties given out for that, because I just don't think it's needed.
yeah, it's if that's the baseline, that's what's going to concern people, I think, going forward. So-
Yeah, they haven't just seen it. There needs to be an in-between, I think.
Do you
Because-
genuinely think it was deserving of a penalty, though?
It's where Alonso basically forces Sainz off the track, and then Perez is able to get through.
Mm.
That's the issue.
But then they've done it for causing a collision rather than forcing another driver off the circuit.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
need
because
to.
there's the contact first, and then because of that, Carlos had to obviously divert wide.
I think they need to be more transparent in what they're actually doing someone for, and if it's multiple, then say multiple and combine it.
Yeah,
Like, say it's for causing a collision and forcing an opponent off the circuit.
Yeah,
Don't just say
Yeah.
it's causing a collision and then in the penalty also go, oh yeah, and he also forced him off. Like, say that's going to come under it as well, you know? Then it would be more justifiable in terms of here's the penalty because we've got him on this count and this count. This is the done we've done, you know? It's like to put it in a legal perspective, it's like charges get brought forward to you, you get done for A, B, and C, and in the verdict you get told guilty, not guilty, guilty, and you get the penalties for the 2 that you were found guilty on, you know? I know this isn't a court of law and it's racing, but you're doing it by a rule book, so apply the whole rule book. There's nothing in the rule book that says you can only do 1 bit at a time.
Oh, yeah.
So use it fully. Alternatively, we've also got the Ferrari boys forcing each other off the circuit. Well, okay, I say forcing each other off. Carlos forcing Charles off at the hairpin, but no penalty because inter-team mediation means that nothing ever happens in that situation. Which I think is wrong. I think you should still be able to get penalties for that, but because the team managers and everyone can smooth it all over, then nothing ever happens, you know? It just gets swept under the rug. But,
yeah.
Was there anything else in the sprint? I think that was about it, wasn't it?
No.
I've not had a chance to see the race, so I'll let you guys take the lead on this.
Start was pretty standard. Oh, Alonso was like the only guy in the top 17 to run the soft tyre at the start of the race. Most people were on the mediums. I think K-Mag at the back was like, I'm going to start on the hards, YOLO. And then the 3 drivers at the back were like, softs, let's go! Including Logan starting from the pit lane. Hamilton then complained after about 8 laps that his tyres weren't making any progress through the field. So, you know, I mean, he was stuck at the back of a massive DRS train, so what did he expect, really? There's not a lot a soft tyre can do over a medium tyre when everyone's getting an extra 20 kilometers an hour of DRS boost.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened. There were a few changes of positions, a couple of overtakes here and there, but nothing really happened until Bottas's engine just decided to give up on the way into turn 11. It's the left-hander before the long swooping right-hander that leads onto the straight. So he just went straight on and into the runoff. The camera angle they chose to show Bottas out of his car made him look like he was almost on the circuit. Probably not the best thing, just in terms of the perspective of he's in the foreground and then in the background is all the cars coming straight towards the camera. Now, this was all covered originally by supposedly double-waved yellows, and originally I saw one of the marshals double-waving yellows, but then apparently on comms they were like, it's only single yellows. And for ages it was only covered by the yellow flags. Even when we saw Bottas out of his car and in the direct firing line.
Also the point where there was like the 5 marshals around the car trying to move it and it was still just yellows.
It was nuts. We have VSC for a reason.
Yeah.
Use it. Apparently like the race director was trying to see if the car could be moved easily before deciding to use it. Just use the VSC. He's literally in the firing line at the end of a straight.
And there were marshals around the car as well.
Yeah.
When people are not in the vehicle, VSC. I think it's pretty easy to make that decision. What annoyed me was the timing of it initially, because they waited so long that the entire field had been round, and Lando had passed the pit entry, and then they're like, VSC. So Charles then immediately got the benefit of VSC pit stop. Thankfully, the car was still in gear. Thank you, Sauber. So the VSC lasted long enough that Lando also got round to make his pit stop under the VSC. So the Ferrari international assistance didn't quite come off there because Bottas's car wasn't playing ball. Ironic, considering it's a Ferrari power unit in the back of that bad boy. So, yeah, I'd say the FIA kind of dropped the ball on that one. Especially considering they then launched the full safety car after that, so that there was space to clean up the debris and move the car and whatnot. Just, you took so long to launch the VSC, then you launched the VSC, and then you launched the safety car. Just put the VSC out and then decide if you need the safety car or not.
Yeah.
It's easy. There's a big button that says VSC. Press it. Nobody really
Oh,
gains.
shit, it's red flag.
Nobody really gains or loses anything if you just throw the VSC in that situation. You know, like straight away. That is because the people that hadn't made their pit stops yet, which was just, I think, just Lando and Charles, then just make their pit stops. Whatever. Everyone else had already made their pit stops, and then it's up to them. Then he throws the safety car in, and Red Bull decide to double stack and make another pit stop onto another fresh set of hards. Which, you know, fine, whatever. But, like, just make the decisions quicker, because that was far too long.
I have just realised we forgot about something before the race. Aston Martin versus Ferrari in the stewards room, but we can come back to it.
Interesting. Something else before the race was the grid walk with Ted and Nico Rosberg. And basically, they spent the entire time just following the really tall Chinese basketball player down the grid. It was brilliant. They were just walking in his wake because he was just clearing a path. Just Stefano Domenicali just showing him off to the grid like, look, guys, famous sporting person. What was really funny was the camera was panned over to, I think it was one of the Aston cars. And then the mechanics are just looking at him like, he's huge.
I gotta see a video of this now.
It was quite funny. It was, yeah. I think we need Brundle for the grid walks because he brings something that those two just didn't have. It felt a bit unrehearsed, you know. And I know Brundle can't rehearse his, but at the same time, he's had years of experience doing it.
So long, hasn't he? Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. Like there was a lot less interviews from Ted and Nico. They managed to get, I think it was Juan Pablo Montoya for a few words. They spoke to the basketball player, and they Nico spoke to one of the Mercedes guys from George's side of the garage that he knew from his time back in Mercedes. And I think that was pretty much it, to be honest. Actually, no, they spoke to Fred, and Fred gave one of the best answers I've ever heard on an interview, because they were asking him about the tires, and Ted went, "How come you have a brand new set? How come you have two brand new sets of mediums?" And Fred just goes, "We brought an extra pair." What a legend. Clearly taking the mick. It's because they only ran the everyone else ran mediums in the practice session, and Ferrari just ran softs the whole time. So big brain move from Ferrari there, but just the fact that Fred was willing to just joke about with it and say they brought an extra set was amazing. What else did we have? Yeah, so going back to sort of the race. We then had, after obviously the safety car, we then had the restart. We didn't even make it to the restart before it all kicked off again. Not that we saw this on the broadcast at the time.
We just seen Stroll's name just go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Alonso locked up at the hairpin, and everyone sort of concertinaed behind him. And then Lance Stroll decided that he doesn't want to use his brakes. He wants to use Daniel Ricciardo's. And I think Danny Rick made an excellent point in his post-race interviews by virtue of the fact that when you look at the onboards of Lance Stroll, as particularly from the T-Cam, you can see that Lance isn't actually watching the cars in front. His head turns to look at the apex of the corner. Why are you looking there?
Man.
Why are you looking there at a safety car restart? Because that's not the issue here. You just follow the cars in front of you. because you can't overtake until you get to the green flag. Which is where I think the next issue with Danny Rick's grid penalty comes up, because Magnussen overtook both of them. Just saying.
But if they've been involved in an incident, then the overtake is legal.
Yeah, I know. But, yeah. Still behind the safety car.
And Danny Rick should wait for an instruction from race control to overtake and not just do it anyway.
Yeah. Sucks, but it's the rules. It just feels...
And didn't we see Sergio Perez do it in Imola a couple of seasons ago, where he just went,
This is my
just overtook like 4 cars behind the safety car.
Yeah, that's because he spun, wasn't it? Yeah. No, I mean, it just feels harsh considering he still had to retire, and that he retired before the penalty was given to him, which meant that the Alonso sort of situation of he got the penalty but didn't get the penalty couldn't apply to him. Like, if the FIA had made their mind up 3 laps earlier, then he could have served the penalty in the race and then retired, and then we wouldn't have any grid penalties for Miami.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think did they investigate that one after the race? They might have done, just because he was retired.
I think if both retired, then they usually just go investigating after the race. Yeah. But
I think because Magnussen was still in, so you know. But I think it was just because it was a safety car infringement that they just did it afterwards. But then on the opening lap of the restart, we had Magnussen spinning Yuki Tsunoda around with a dive bomb at turn 6. Deserving penalty, that one. That was way too late. And in the wise words of Martin Brundle, he was a day late and $1 short.
It was a movie you do on like beginner AI. On F1.
Yeah, because you know that AI is just going to get out of the way. Send it.
And if they don't, you can just flash back.
Yeah, so that was a particularly painful lap for Team RB. Both drivers out from no fault of their own. Really, that's just absolutely savage.
Racing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in that respect, but that's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? We've seen it happen with pretty much, I think every other team on the grid's had a weekend where they've had a double DNF that's not been their fault. It's just the way it goes. But it's still a pretty bitter pill to swallow, especially when Danny Rick looked like he was in a pretty competitive spot at the time. I think he was... See, the painful bit for me was I posted a tweet saying Danny Rick at the restart, because he was on like 11-lap-old mediums and everyone else was on fresh hards. And I put the Ralph Wiggum gif of, I'm in danger. Little did I know how right I was. Goddamn Lance Stroll. I think the thing that's annoyed people most about the Lance Stroll Danny Rick incident is Lance's refusal to take responsibility for that.
But had he seen it back when he was in the pen though, and like doing all the interviews?
I think he had.
I think he might, because if he had seen it, if he's watched it again and thought, I've done nothing wrong there, then
he's got to get gone.
Be fucking fuming at him. But if he's seen it and gone, oh fuck, oh shit,
I think no, because like we've had it before. The one that springs to mind to me is Qatar, where the 2 Mercedes came together, and Lewis said it was George's fault, and then afterwards said, "I've seen the replays. That's my bad." You know, he actually just went and held his hands up and said, "100% my fault." Which it shows the difference in the driver there, because if Lance had seen that back and still gone, it was the concertina effect, it's one of those weird racing incidents. What?
Fuck off, knobhead.
You just haven't looked. You haven't looked where you're fucking going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and it's the fact that he was in the car and it's like he called the penalty a joke, and he said it was Ricardo's fault. Boy, you went into the back of him. That ain't his fault.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows that if you crash
'cause
into
on
a
the
car from
radio-
behind, it's automatically your fault.
Yeah,
The radio was fucking mental, wasn't it? Because he brake checked me, he just suddenly stopped.
it's this thing called brakes, Lance. You have them fitted to your car. It's under your left foot. Use them.
Use yours, not Daniel's.
Yeah, use yours, not Daniel. Period.
Yeah. And did anything else happen in the race, or was that it?
Well, I mean, there was a brief spell where the FIA when you get a penalty, you get a penalty, you get a penalty, and there was actually some fantastic on-track battling between Lance Stroll and Kevin Magnussen, who had both received 10-second penalties at this point. So they were battling for last place of the runners, both with penalties, and it was probably some of the greatest racing action of the whole race. And that is the most depressing statement.
And Alpine received a penalty as well.
For being French.
Well, no, for
Jeremy
being bad at
Clarkson.
pit stop.
Oh, that was a thing. Zhou Guanyu came in for his first pit stop. And honestly, I was praying that it wasn't terrible because home fans, home driver, 3 seconds!
Wow!
They did
What
a
about
3.0.
But I swear his second stop was like 5.3 though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but it's still better than 50.
Exactly.
So we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. But like a 3-second pit stop, that's actually within the realms of decent for any team on the grid. Like for Red Bull, you'd say that's slow. But for anyone else, you think, not bad.
Yeah, but
I'll take 3 seconds.
And then Max Verstappen wins because
Max.
Verstappen wins.
Yeah.
Coming back to qualifying. So Aston Martin weren't very happy that Carlos Sainz spun, scalped the wall, and caused a red flag, but then made it back to the garage and continued in the session.
Are they done? He got back on his own steam.
Yeah, so their case was that the official messaging system said that Carlos had stopped on track, and the regulations do say that if a car stops on track, it is not allowed to take any further part in the qualifying session. However, the stewards basically turned around and went, lol, no, it's not designed to be taken that literally. He got back
Savage.
under his own steam, no penalty,
Yeah.
and dismissed the protest and kept Aston Martin's money.
Aston Martin have lost 2 protests then. Because they protested Lance Stroll's penalty as well.
I don't think that was officially protested because
they filed an intent to protest.
Oh, is it an attempt for an appeal or right
Yeah.
to review?
I think it was an appeal.
Well, they've not published that decision document, so I'm going to assume it's done.
Yeah, I think they just
and they
dismissed
decided
it.
not to.
Yeah.
In fact, it will say in the final race classification, actually. Yeah, no, that it's done.
Good.
There's nothing about an appeal.
Good.
How do you appeal that? What do you say?
He brake
Yeah,
checked
lolly
me.
crashed. No penalty, please. But yeah, and that's China. Richard,
China.
prediction results, please.
Oh, where should we start?
Well, the same
No,
place
it
we usually start with sprint qualifying.
Not with Sonia's. Please.
Okay, so in joint last this week of the whole podium is me and Ben
Oh.
with 6 points apiece. Technically, Ben, we're joint third. Yeah, podium. We got 6 points. We both said Verstappen would win the race. Perez would be on the podium, but we got the position wrong. And Verstappen to win the sprint and get pole. So 6 points apiece. Chris and Nia both scored 8 points for saying Verstappen would win the sprint. Verstappen would get pole position and correctly putting Verstappen and Perez in the right locations on the podium. However, both of you got absolutely clapped by Sonia, who came in with a correct sprint winner, a correct pole position, and a entirely correct podium for our first ever sprint weekend full house of 17 points. She then
No,
moves...
whoa.
What? Here we go.
Did Sonia get sprint pole?
We don't do sprint pole, and we
don't
never
do
have.
sprint pole.
We did. We done Speed King when it used to be called Speed King.
Look, we've gone back in the
but
book.
then the format got changed.
Yeah, we went back in the
And
book,
we
and the
didn't
last
do
set of
pole.
sprints, we didn't do pole. It's just the winner. So
Disappointing.
get clapped, son.
In all fairness, we all would have gained 1 point, so it wouldn't have mattered.
No,
we
we would
wouldn't
have
have-
all got 0
Oh,
points.
exactly.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't have mattered.
He's just
So it
trying to
wouldn't have been
take
a
away
full
the
house.
full house. He's being a salty little shit.
But it wouldn't have mattered.
So let's
No
rub it in
one
even
would have
more.
points.
In last place, Chris on 22 points.
Yeah, I'm playing a different game. I'm playing pointless, guys. I'm winning.
Alex Armstrong
You
wants
still
his game
wouldn't
back.
win at pointless. You meant to
Yeah,
score
what's that? I've got the
0
lowest amount
points.
of points.
Yeah, it's the person with the lowest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth place,
Even
Nia.
winning.
Nia is in fourth
Wait,
on
what?
23.
Oh shit.
I have dropped
I'd be
down
second
to
in
third.
first.
Oh, God. I've dropped down to third. I'm on 28 points. Ben has been dethroned. He is on 34 points. And Sonia has swooped into the lead and is on 36 points. Continuing with the podium predictions. Hallie and Em both scored 5 points this weekend. Hallie for correctly getting the sprint winner, the pole position, and Verstappen to win. And M for getting pole position, Verstappen to win, and putting Perez on the podium. So that means that M is on 17 points. SK, who we didn't actually hear back from, so didn't score any points this week, is on 11. And Hallie moves up into 8 points. Bold predictions. Ben, no Merc PU in the top 5. Lando said lol.
Genius.
He's done it. Chris, driver in the pits gravel trap. No. I said a 3-car pile up at turn 3. If I'd said turn 14, we'd almost have been there.
But no.
Well, it's very easy to mistake 3 for 14,
I
isn't
know,
it?
yeah.
So-
No. And Nia, you said both Mercs to score points in the sprint and the race. And they did. So fair enough. Just, by the way, absolutely
Yeah.
just, George Russell getting 8th place in the sprint.
Oh.
Lapdown showdown. Due to a helpfully placed mid-race safety car, nobody got lapped.
Oh well.
So no winners this week. And the Perez
We're all winners.
position predictor. Wait, we can do the thing.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Hey Sergio, welcome to Red Bull.
It's a 3-way tie this week. It's great. I did not get a single place correct. Ben got the qualifying position correct, and Chris,
Yeah.
Chris and Nia got the race position correct. Other than that, we're all wrong.
Wait, hold on. So Chris and Nia didn't predict Perez. Oh wait, just the rate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You got one session correct
Yeah,
each.
yeah.
So in sprint shootout, he actually finished 6th. We all said 2nd or 3rd. We all said 2nd for the sprint race. He was 3rd. In quali, he was 2nd, which Ben got right. Everyone else said 3rd or 5th. And then the people that said 3rd got the race result right. Me and Ben both said 2nd, so we won. So there you have it. That's your predictions. We'll be making more predictions next week ahead of the Miami Sprint Weekend. Woo! Lovely.
No one has ever called the Miami Grand Prix lovely. It's not only
Wait,
have we got to
wait.
put up.
Didn't
the-
Max say "simply lovely" over the team radio when he won from 9th?
Right, yeah, fair enough. But not only have we got to
Win.
have an hour preview before the race of Will.i.am.
I'm not
concert
tuning in for that.
performance, There's now a sprint race as well.
And now
Yay!
there was some news
Oh god.
about the upcoming Formula One game that was released this week.
I've only just started
But,
playing F1
really-
23 again.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not
just,
making me spend
before,
50 quid on this one.
earlier, I tried to play. I went on F1 2020, right, and the wheel setup all fine, but it's sort. I was like, I want to drive the new car. So when I'm 23, and my wheel wouldn't work.
Mate,
So
my
you're
wheel
telling me
only
that
works on my Xbox. I can't even plug it
So-
into my PC.
So I can play F1 2020, but I can't play F1 23.
Yeah, get
To
wrecked.
be honest, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
F1 2020 is a great game.
Yeah. But yeah, Chris,
But
news.
yeah. So they released the proper, like, this is what's in the game package.
Nice.
Of course, as they say every year, there's a brand new handling model.
Wow.
It's
We'll see how good it is.
We'll see how new it actually is when the code gets data mined.
There has been some updates to circuits, including Silverstone, Spa, the Lusail International Circuit, and the Jeddah Corniche Circuit.
Great.
So no details as to what those updates are, just that there's been an update.
They changed a curb.
the track updates.
They have now included actual driver audio samples taken from F1 broadcasts to add a new dimension to react to on-track incidents.
It's been that Stroll. You break destiny.
I really want to know how that works. If you hit someone, are you just going to hear like Crofty going mental?
No, you're just gonna hear. He turned into me.
Is there actually? Could that be the start of mid-race commentary, like in F1 Championship '98 or something? Where they had mid-race commentary. We will see.
Who knows?
And also their biggest career mode innovation since 2016.
Jesus Christ.
since 2016.
So, as part of the revamped career mode, you can decide to be one of the 20 drivers, so you don't need to create your own driver. You can be an up-and-coming competitor from F2. You can bring a legendary icon out of retirement, or obviously create your own driver and build their legacy.
You know, you could get like sacked in F1 and sent back to F2. Do you reckon you could
That
do
would
that
be
with an
amazing.
F1 driver?
See, the thing is, if you win the F2 championship, you're not allowed to go back to F2.
Yeah.
Just don't win the championship.
Just don't do the thing that you're supposed to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Just go back to F3 instead.
Yeah,
Fine.
exactly. So that's what I was thinking. When are they going to add F3 to this?
But at what point are we doing a Lance Stroll road to F2?
To be fair, he didn't race in it, so
Exactly, you'd be
true.
able to go back.
So they've added a new thing called recognition, where you're getting race day tasks to keep players focused on the checkered flag. I don't quite know what else you're focused on during a race, but
the apex of the corner, not the car in front of you.
Yeah.
completing
Well-
contract targets can help secure a new deal. This is interesting, or pave the way for secret meetings to negotiate a move to a better rival.
Give me money.
So you can do a Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari and just announce it out of the blue. There's R&D upgrades, obviously, where your reputation affects the support you get from your team. You can earn accolades. They don't really say what those are. Two-player career stays a thing. But each driver will get their own objectives. So practice might actually mean something.
Cannot wait for the one
and-
race to their career.
I'll see you 3 weeks after launch, mate. Yeah, good
This
lad.
means
And,
more.
You must stay focused to become the team's #1 driver. Maybe
I'm the
team
number
orders
one.
are going to be a thing.
Bugger off, are you?
Fuck you. I'm the number one.
Let's
and
look
there's
at that race
also-
result, bad boy.
There's also
Back to
challenge.
back DNS, bitch. Let's move.
There's also challenge career, which is a perfect introduction before committing to a 24 race season. Jump into shoes of a pre-selected driver and compete in a series of mini seasons. And the community will vote for the conditions and circuits of future events.
Fucking rain. Rain.
F1 World is back with a new
Wow.
feature called Fan Zone, where you can align with your favourite team and driver over the course of a podium pass season. My team is back. We don't know if any of the upgrades to career mode are going to be there, but
No.
they're adding world champion James Hunt and Colombia's most successful F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya.
JPM,
So you can-
JPM.
You can have Juan win one Formula One race, Juan.
Will they have Montoya's team radio as well?
Who knows? And then obviously they just go on about what you get if you pre-order.
Fucking Raikkonen.
So yeah, those are all the details for the new game, and it releases on May 28th for those who've pre-ordered the Champions Edition.
Yeah.
3 days later,
I haven't
for
yet.
those who've not.
I have not yet.
And yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
You're not making me buy this game as well.
Should-
Oh.
I barely played the
Mm.
last one.
Did you want to play it
Oh,
more,
just-
Nia?
Just play it.
Sure. I forget I have it.
Oh, don't.
I've-
Sorted.
I'm
Problem
also not-
solved.
I've been
Also
playing
not good at it, so I
F123
don't
recently,
understand.
so.
I'm also not good at it, so I don't want to play it.
But you're not
But
going
the
to
only
get
way-
any better at it if you don't play
Yeah,
it, are
it's
you?
by playing
Yeah.
it. And I think that's it. I don't think there was any news this week, so we're done.
Excellent.
Join us next week where we'll be previewing the Miami Grand Prix. Oh, God, no.
The
Bye,
Miami
everyone.
Sprint.
Oh, stop making it worse.
It's my speciality. Bye.
Bye.